It was an accident. I was doing some consulting work at the Securities and Exchange Commission. At the time, Penn Central failed, and everybody was asking, where was the board of directors? We were trying to educate them as to what their true responsibility was and to whom.
NACD formed as a way of protecting directors and boards against undue federal regulation. However, very quickly, the founders realized the best protection was excellence.
The thing I remember most vividly from that era is the annual conference on the Queen Mary in Long Beach in 1986. One of the key things on the agenda was, do CEOs really want outside directors? Then into the 90s, Gene Sisco got me to be on the first, or one of the original Blue Ribbon Commissions.
I first got involved with NACD in 1995 when I was asked to go on the Blue Ribbon Commission on Director Compensation. After that commission, I was then on another commission on Director Professionalism. It was in 1996, and both those commissions were really quite significant for NACD in that they laid out standards for both director compensation and, frankly, how boards operate, and they formed the basis for a lot of the change we've seen in corporate governance for the last almost 20 years.
Those Blue Ribbon reports became classical documents that didn't have a time life, but have become the heartbeat of NACD and its role as a thought leader. I have been doing some work with American Community Bankers, and they had a gentleman named Roger Rageberg, and Roger's job was he was in charge of member services. So he made a presentation to the board. I knew the answer to the question they were going to ask, could we ever attract Roger? The answer was yes.
As soon as I started, there was a rallying cry to do something about board evaluations. Now this was 2000. We were really charting new territory at that point. We had roundtables around the country. We convened the commission on top of the roundtable, so we had multiple meetings going on to try to find out what were boards doing around evaluation. And it was really kind of altering the course. It was changing what boards were doing.
Boards of directors, which I think was a sort of backwater, isn't that interesting, nice thing to study, but doesn't really make a lot of difference, suddenly burst on the scene as a really big issue.
When I think about Sarbanes-Oxley in its totality, it was a beacon of light for directors. It is the regulation that said directors need to be independent, that we need to be engaged, that we need to have certain responsibilities and, quite frankly, accountabilities in our roles in the boardroom.
Prior to Sarbanes-Oxley, a lot of directors were a member of the good old boy club, the secret handshake. And after Sarbanes-Oxley, directors had to become engaged, and Ken Daly has led that transition in a very aggressive way.
We just started to build it, and then we were hoping that we were smart enough to figure out what was working and continue down that line, and learn what was not working and stop. I describe it as learn to fail quickly. And I said that what we should do is immediately we should try to acquire more revenue. And the purpose of acquiring that revenue would be to spend it right away, to get high quality people who could deliver what the community wanted.
there's been this increased stakes that exist in board leadership and in the professionalism associated with being a corporate director. Out of that, there's an important role that NACD has played in that, and that is obviously by providing intellectual capital, by providing educational forums, by providing an opportunity for the community of directors to come together and improve their craft.
When I look at how do you maintain relevancy, it really is a matter of listening and understanding and interpreting what's going on around you. And if we don't adapt, and I think that's what's led to our growth over the last few years, the substantial growth that we've had, is our ability to listen to what's happening in the marketplace, to analyze those issues, and then to translate those issues into action items for boards and for companies.
NACD has responded well to these two challenges, to provide services to keep the foundation strengths in place for boards of directors, and to anticipate emerging issues that boards must be alert to and prepare for in order to be excellent over all times in the future.
I think the mission is to enable exemplary board leadership. We want to help the board community get to the next level.